welcome to Let's Just Do This, the place where we bring change makers to the table to help educate, empower, and inspire you to live well and become the CEO of your own health. My name is Margaret Wallace-Duffy, and I'm always happy to have my handsome co-host next to me, Mr. Todd Miller.
Excited as always. I'm vibrating because I'm really looking forward to this segment.
Okay, so you think you're looking forward to this episode. I am vibrating literally in the studio today. And you know, I have to say, I get excited about every guest that comes on Let's Just Do This. But I gotta tell you a little secret. For many years, I have been watching this incredibly fabulous woman be so passionate in everything that she does. I've taken many of her courses, I've watched her career blossom, and I finally got the guts to actually, and we've been connected in social media, I actually picked up the phone, ladies and gentlemen, and I simply said, let's just do this. Will you come on my podcast? And guess what? The one and only Crystal Andrus Morissette said yes. And she is in studio with us today. Now, for those of you that don't know who she is, which I would find hard to believe,
I'm sure there are many.
Well, you know, you're pretty big in my world, and I have such massive respect. So I want to first welcome you to the studio and to Let's Just Do This.
My pleasure.
I'm going to read a very short bio because her bio is massive and an impressive woman she is. And put on your seatbelts because the next half hour is going to be inspiring, a lot of fun, and certainly empowering because that's what this woman does. She empowers people, and especially women. International best-selling author, emotional age and communication expert, and women's advocate, Crystal Andrus Morissette is empowering women all over the world with her SWAT Institute programs and her book, The Emotional Edge. Crystal, what inspired you to make women's empowerment your focus? It's a loaded question, but welcome.
Thank you. It was a great kickoff question. I think we teach what we need to learn. And I think each one of us have gone through things in our lives. And I think when you find your way out, I think it was Maya Angelou that said, when you learn, you teach. And I had a very turbulent teenage life. I moved out at 15. My mother was so empowered in some ways and so disempowered in other ways. And she was a feminist, but she was also very identified with her sexuality. So I wanted to first and foremost empower my mom. I wanted my mom to be more empowered. Then I realized that she would just get frustrated with me because I was trying to be so empowered because, you know, no one wants their daughter to coach you. No. So I, at that point, started realizing, okay, I just need to focus on empowering me. And then my two little girls came along, and I got to tell you, in my mid-20s, to give birth to these two precious little girls, and I knew they were looking at me the way I looked at my mom, and that I needed to be the woman I needed my mom to be.
Wow.
And that's really, in truth, what started this, and then it just kept growing, and it got bigger, and I just got so excited about it, and then bringing more women, I'm watching women blossom. Then it became like supercharging for me, not just for me to be empowered, but to like watch these other women's lives turn around. It was like juice in my engine all the time. And now it's taken on a life of its own in a sense, but it supercharges me. So I'm doing what I love.
I can see you getting so emotional when you're talking about your daughters.
Yeah.
It must be incredibly hard for women to have daughters and sons because it crosses over now with kids. I mean, just teaching them to be great people and to not be limited by their sex. Yeah,
and well, that's it too. I think I knew 20 years ago whether I certainly couldn't have willed this into being, because I often used to say, did I will everything into my life or did I see it before it happened? Because I would see things and then I would make them happen. So for many years I always thought, well, I can just will anything into being. If I want this badly enough, where there's a will, there's a way. But then I knew, even my very first book that I wrote called Simply Woman, that would have been in 2004. It got picked up by Louise Hay. Yes. Hay House Publishing. That would have been 2004, and I was already talking about that Simply Woman. I trademarked it, and I knew, and that it turned into Simply Woman Accredited Trainer, our institute that's in 45 countries now, empowering women. But I knew that a movement was coming. I knew I could have predicted the hashtag Me Too movement 20 years ago.
You know, it's funny that you brought that up, because it's exactly, I thought of you when all of this movement with Me Too was happening. I immediately thought of you, and I've been watching and learning from you and taking your courses through the SWAT Institute for years, and I'm about to take another amazing course, which I'm so excited about very soon. But what I love about the way you do this, Crystal, is that you're so real and authentic. But sometimes also real in a way that people need to hear it. And
yeah, I give the goods.
You do, give the goods. And where do you think that came from in you? Where did that come from?
I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you. It's going to shock you again. My poor family.
Oh, well.
Okay, listen.
This is where they go for a snack.
This is when they're like, I say to okay, funny enough, my kids are in their 20s now, and I say to my daughters, do we have to sort anything out? Like, is there any anger? Do you got any unresolved issues? Like, are you going to write a book about me when you turn 30? Can we do it in private? You know, I didn't get the opportunity to sort that stuff out in private in the family I grew up in. And I think here's the truth, our deepest fear, Marianne Williamson is going to say our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate, it's that we're powerful beyond measure. Probably true. Yes. However, another deep fear that we have as human beings is being ostracized from our tribe. That's why we're afraid to even put a post on Facebook, because we live in a world now where it's like, unfriend, delete, block.
Yep.
And I came from a family that had so much pride and dignity, and we're so amazing in so many ways. But man, if you crossed those boundaries in any way, if you yelled at your parents, you might be kicked out. So in truth, I broke all the rules all the time and was always ostracized anyways. So I, at a certain point, figured I might as well just live my greatest life, because living my life trying to make everybody happy so I don't say the wrong thing and I don't do it wrong, and now somebody's mad at me again because I shared too much. Well, this is my life. I'm only sharing my truth. And it just empowers other women. So as a coach, I don't weigh in if you don't ask my opinion. That's not my business. So if I'm at a family get-together and I completely disagree, that's not my business. But if you're paying me for my opinion, I'm going to tell you the truth.
Right, okay. Right.
So that's where I got that from.
You know, as a mother of a 17-year-old beautiful daughter, living in a world that you just described on social media, and being so fearful of what everybody else thinks of her. And my beautiful daughter is so perfectly unique, but often wants to be like everyone else, because that's what we do when we're 17.
Yeah.
Hearing those,
but we also have it way worse now, because what I explained to my daughters is, when I was in high school, if a boy liked you, he actually had to have the courage to come up to you and ask you for your phone number. And then he had to call you, and you're in the kitchen on your phone that's connected to and your parents are
hopefully
there.
Dad didn't answer the phone.
Right. Like, there was no false courage. We didn't have the same false courage that now.
So true.
Like, you can have all these haters and trolls that hide behind their computers. So I knew that, and I already went through all that. So I was able to say to my daughters, number one, I have gotten to the point now that I will snap a selfie and put it on, and I don't do filters and I don't do any of that, just to be real. Because some of my pictures are gorgeous. And I want to put them up. And some of my pictures are just me in my realness, and I want to put those up.
Absolutely.
Because I think women connect with me because they're like, yeah, she can be fabulous. And she really shows herself when she's not so fabulous too, because that's real. So I say to my daughters, most people take 100 selfies before they put one up. So you're comparing your worst day to their best day. So once you get that in your head, then you never compare anymore. And I also taught my daughters when they were young, imagine if only the rose was beautiful. Then, like, the daffodils aren't beautiful and the irises aren't beautiful. So I just really said to them, honestly, girls, and I never let them think, I would say, you're breathtakingly beautiful, but there are billions
of beautiful people,
of breathtakingly beautiful people.
Absolutely.
Get your head around it now.
Exactly.
One doesn't take. If somebody's got a great singing voice, somebody else can have a great singing voice, doesn't take from her, nor does beauty.
Exactly.
Or success, or talent. It never takes from you. So collaborate with the greatest people in the world, and you'll only up your own game.
Oh, and I love that. And get out of your own way, as you know, you decided that this is me. This is who I am, and it's my life, which is what's so empowering. I want to talk, because this is really quite something, and for all of our listeners and viewers out there, this incredible woman's book has been featured on Oprah. Her quiz is at oprah.com, and it's all talking about this incredible book, The Emotional Edge. Can you tell us about what this book is, why it came about, and oh my goodness, it got on Oprah.
I know.
How incredible is that?
I know. Don't we all think, like, if Oprah if your name is connected to Oprah, the fairy dust will sprinkle down on you, and your life will never be the same? Well, that's not even true either, just so you know.
Yeah.
You have to take each one of those opportunities when they come your way as a springboard.
Yes.
Then you got to work it. So I can get myself on any TV show now, because I can say, well, I've been featured on Oprah. And then they're like, oh, come on, and she must be a good guest. So that's the great thing about that. But you still got to work it. You still got to go to those places. You still got to follow up. You still got to have a publicist. You still got to have. But anyways, so The Emotional Edge came about because I'm going to go so far as to say, other than my husband, all women.
Right.
So I'm literally not around men.
Right.
And I work from home. And I work from home. Yes. So you gotta imagine, most of the time I'm schlepping around in my pajamas without any makeup on, and I'm certainly not feeling glamorous. But so I work with a lot of women, and because our school's in 45 countries, I don't want to stumble on my words too much. Because we're in 45 countries, a lot of our work, almost all of our work, is done online, on telephones. We're connecting people from all over the world. So when it first started with my own team, my own staff, just one day we're talking, and I was in a staff meeting, and I said, ladies, we all have an opportunity. We all have to really look at the way we're showing up in life. So your voice, you don't want it to sound like daughter energy, like a little cute, coy little girl. You don't want to be in mother, just the way it came out. You don't want to be in mother energy. You don't want to be like, if somebody wants to do a phone call with you and it's 3 a.m. your time, you say no, even if you can get a sale out of it. Because that's mother energy that would wake up at 3 in the morning to make a phone call to somebody. Yes. Show up in your woman energy. And everybody got quiet and went, I've never heard this before. What are you talking about? This is new. And I was like, is this new? And then everyone said, what does woman energy mean? And I was like, okay, so within all of us, even men, we all have a persona. We have 3 aspects to our personality. That's making it very easy. But in truth, the great psychologists all said that too.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Carl Jung said ego, shadow, collective unconscious. Freud said id, superego, ego. So I said, you have a dominant emotional archetype, you have a submissive, that's your ego and your shadow, and then you have this part of you that can transcend all of it, can heal. That's the part of you that isn't in the battle. And when you show up in that place, that's your woman energy. And everybody got really excited about it. So I said, like, for men, I'd be like, well, if you're in your father energy, or you're showing up like a parent, you're gonna be a doormat dad. You're gonna have a trophy wife, but you're gonna get to a certain point where you think, oh my God, is she ever gonna grow up? That's what you're gonna create in your relationships. If you're a woman, the same thing. You'll feel like you're the mom to your husband. You'll feel like you have so much guilt parenting your children. Anyways, this is where it all came about, and everybody was like, oh, this is big, Crystal, you gotta do something with this. Okay. So then I went to work.